I'm Vin.
I'm Sori.
And this is Tourniquet. The name of the band is Tourniquet-My
Promise.
The name of the song is My Promise. For timely topical political commentary, you can hit me up in Middle America with Vin and Sori, where you can hear the latest in what's going on in the world today. I've got a video that's in my head that's going to come out in the real world pretty soon. So you've got that. And then, if you, dear listener, would like your song reviews, there's multiple ways to do that. My favorite way is what we call the community option. $1 at the gate gets you in at Patreon, where you get to meet the amazing Zonia, the amazing Kellendross, Leah of the Village, Pony of the Village, all those beautiful people. They'll recruit you. You might even get a note from the world famous Damon Sage, the man of mystery, to get recruited to the black metal alliance called the what are they called? True Cult. True Cult. They got their own gang sign, whole 9 yards. If you're a filthy capitalist and you're an individualist like Sori, then you can do what is called a filthy capitalist or the fast pass option. $125 at the gate gets you pushed straight to the head of the line, where you get to determine by yourself, without an alliance, what song you want done. And you also get a lifetime VIP backstage pass for the restricted area of our website. Without further ado.
And so that is what the big homie Tony did. Actually, if you look in the bottom of this video, you'll see that it was brought to you by Tony. And that is the only tattoo that he has. Jesus Christ is Lord.
So this is, and if you do that 3 times at the $125 rate, you get bumped down to the $75 rate perpetually. And now we are Tourniquet-My Promise. Let's do it.
Okay. Here we go.
Oh, what the lyrics? I got it.
Just a boy, you will not remember half the things you're going through right now. How can I explain to you? Things don't always go the way you want them to. I know you feel confused. Your mother never wanted this for you. She did her best, but that he wouldn't do. You and I are brought together now by wedding vows. Vows that I have also made to you. Flesh and blood, though we are not, I will love you as my own. Now God's love is all we've got. Together we can build a home. Flesh and blood, though we are not, I will love you as my own. Now God's love is all we've got. Together we can build a home. world will lie to you and take you for a ride. How can I protect you from this path? Only God can show you that the lights in life burn fast. Never forsake your precious days of youth. I promise I will do my best for you. Listen to me and I will listen too.
That's all she wrote.
What did you say?
I said that's all she wrote.
Oh. This one.
So this is a dad speaking to his stepson
Yeah. Yeah.
or stepdaughter. I think it's a boy, though.
I did too.
Although
Did it
he
say
doesn't-
son?
I don't think so.
Why did I think it was as well?
Because it's a guy, maybe. That's weird. Yeah.
Just a boy.
Just a boy.
I knew we got it from somewhere.
There we go.
Yeah, this one, first of all, I expected it to be a lot more heavy. I thought it was really sweet, though, and I think that it's rare to find someone who is going to, you know, he says, like, he made the vows to the mom, but he also made the vows to that kid.
Yeah. To love him as his own.
Yeah. I think you've been like that with Selah. You know, I mean...
Yeah.
But you were like that with her even before we were together. Even when we were just friends, you were very good to her, looking out for her best interest and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, this situation is not totally analogous because it says your mother never wanted this for you. She did her best, but that he wouldn't do. Speaking of
The other dad.
And Selah's dad is definitely involved in her life and wants to be and all that jazz. You know, I think the you and him issues are separate from how he is with her. I think. But people have different opinions, so we continue. But this is actually 50% of marriages end in divorce. So you would figure there'd be a lot more metal songs about step-parents, you know.
Yeah, that's true.
But you don't really see a lot of metal songs about step-parents.
It's true. They'll speak out against their own parents, but they don't say, this is the first one I've ever seen that was about a step-parent.
Yeah. So,
that's interesting.
So it's a very, very cool side of it. And this is a positive side. I would figure that there would be a lot of, the Korn song, Kill You, is about his stepmother.
Oh.
Yeah,
I don't think I've heard that.
Yeah, we did that one. It's a pretty hard one. Looking back, I was never ever right. You were my stepmom. You always wanted me out of your sight. So, so he touched on it there.
Yeah.
That whole song was about his stepmother. But for the most part, I don't know. I don't really think there's a lot of, and there's definitely not a lot of positive from the perspective of the parent. Songs about it. So you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
this is a very, very, very positive song. Just a boy, you will not remember half the things you're going through right now.
It's true.
I'm not sure that that's true.
I think
because I remember a lot of the shit that we went through.
Well, I think that one, your life was a little bit more extreme, and I think that extreme stuff that you do remember those things. Secondly, you have a very good memory. But there's so much stuff that, like,
How would you know? You've never been the product of a divorce.
Oh no, I'm not talking about a divorce. I'm just saying like just
this.
childhood in general. Like
but
the stuff that you feel is like such a big deal. I remember crying in my room. I don't even remember why I was crying.
Yeah, but the context of the song is the dissolution of his parents' marriage and then the introduction of this new person. And that he's saying, you're not going to remember half the stuff you're going through right now. And that has obviously got to do with the divorce and the remarriage. And I just don't think that that's true.
Yeah, he says, I know you feel confused. Yeah.
And the other thing is that there's like cognitive memory and then there's emotional memory. So even if you don't know the particular details about what happened in that epic of your life, you definitely remember how you felt and you remember the pain and the isolation and confusion. That type of advice to me is given by someone who probably hasn't gone through a divorce. Because people...
Yeah.
When I sit and listen to the way people talk to kids who I'm like, you're saying, Steve, you have no idea what you're talking about. Mm-hmm. Now, I don't know this guy. I'm just saying, I don't think, the song is overwhelmingly positive, and I think he's trying to encourage the kid. But I generally don't take this tack with what.
Well, so we were talking I was talking with the kids the other day, and like one of them was like, life is so hard. I just wonder when it's ever going to start getting better. And I was like, I said, there are kids that have had it way worse. Like I said, I came into the picture, when stuff went really bad for you guys. I was your nanny for a while, and then I said, I'm your mom. I don't treat you guys, you know what I mean? Like, and I went into the, I'm looking out for you and stuff like that. And like some people, I said, like, it could have been your father didn't remarry, and
I wasn't going to.
Like, so you wouldn't have had a mom going around the house. You wouldn't have had somebody taking care of you guys. And I did a lot of stuff to take care of, so I'm going through all of this stuff. And then after, like, one of the other kids came up and they were like, why would you ever say that? Like, how is that to help us out at all, to say things could be worse? And I'm like, it's just, I'm not trying to, but see, maybe that's like one of those things like that you shouldn't say, but it was like, how can you say, when will it ever get better? Like, things haven't progressively gotten worse. Like, I think they were like bad, and then, stuff is like turning better for them. Like, their mom's back in the picture, and you know what I mean? Like, things are... I'm like, some people, and I said, like, sometimes when a parent leaves, they like never come back. Like, she came back, and I was like saying all the, they were like,
I have a rule.
So maybe that's one of those things.
I have a rule where I only say that to myself. I never say that to somebody else.
And maybe, yeah.
I just never do that. But you're pretty consistent because you do that with yourself. You'll say, and then other people, and
yeah,
so you do it to yourself.
Yeah,
it's just something I would never say to you. But that doesn't mean you're wrong. It's just not something I would say.
I think, and maybe honestly, and this is probably really terrible on my part as a parent, but like, I think maybe I was like partially offended by it too, because I'm like, are you serious? Like, I was going through my own personal hell, and then I was still trying to take care, you know what I mean? And like doing all these things. And so I think that I was like, how can you say, when is it ever going to get better? It's only been, like, it hasn't been only getting worse. That's simply not true.
Well, it depends on how they were defining worse and what worse means for them. You know what I mean? So I'm not sure.
They should have said it to you.
I'm not sure what they meant by we'll have a conversation about it later on the call. They usually come to me when you offend them. But
I know.
The point is, parenting by itself is extremely difficult to do. Parenting post-divorce is almost impossible in my mind without God's grace. It's a very, very difficult thing to accomplish.
Even with God's grace, it's...
There are a lot of, especially when you're talking about blending families, there's a lot of spinning plates and a lot of perceptions and a lot of, and I think, and the other thing too is like, there's a lot of guilt as a parent, like, oh, you chose your happiness over your kid's happiness and yada, 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 that people have to navigate through. And then when you ingest that and internalize that, and then the kid complains, it reinforces certain things, and then people get defensive and yada. I'm just saying this in general. So there's a lot of very, difficult things and mistakes that parents make. The other mistake parents make is they demonize the other parent, because because when you're going through that type of a breakup, it's very slash and burn and things like that. And we've done a very, very good job of not doing that with either one of them, because it only hurts the child. It doesn't hurt the,
Yeah.
The other guy tried to do that, and it doesn't affect me at all, but it definitely affected her. So, there's a lot of things where unless...
That's what I'm saying.
What? Unless...
What you said at the beginning of the review. I mean, if you're really looking out for the child, and it's supposed to be the best for them, then you're not going to do that. You're not going to slash and burn other people around them.
Well, again, I only have that knowledge because I had the experience of being a kid in a divorce and being in the middle of that stuff. So if you don't come from that background, then you're more liable to make those kinds of mistakes when you're in the heat of the moment. Because you were gonna go there if it wasn't for me when I said, whoa, we're not doing that.
Well, it depends. If somebody's saying all these horrible things, like about you, then I want to say that's not true.
Yeah, but I didn't feel the need to say that because kids are pretty intelligent.
Oh, yeah. And, yeah, the way that you handled the situation, it worked out actually really well. It took a lot of the stress off. I said, well, okay.
Yeah, kids...
And, yeah, it's obvious as hell.
Yeah.
She knows what's up.
So, but again, that's, now we're talking about, oh, he said this about you and da-da-da, and now it's no longer about the kids. So, I have no judgments for this guy saying whatever he's saying because, and maybe he was the product of a divorce, and maybe that's true of him, that he doesn't remember half the stuff. Maybe he's speaking from experience. It's possible.
Possibly. Or maybe he knows that, maybe he knows that he is going to really, he talks about, even that we're not flesh and blood, I'll love you as my own. Now God's love is all we've got. Together we can build a home. So I'm never going to turn my back on you. Maybe he knows the type of loyalty and feelings that he has toward the kid. And so maybe in his mind he's thinking, this is going to get fixed. And, I have some of my friends that are my stepdad is my dad. And my dad can be as offended as he wants to be, but he's not my real dad. You know what I mean? And there are some where when they say it, you can tell that they're still bitter and hurt about it, and that's why they're saying it. And there are some of them that it's literally these are the facts. My stepdad, he's my dad.
Yeah.
So, maybe he saw that was the kind of dynamic that it was going to be, that he was going to be there for the kid, and the dad wasn't looking out for the kid's best and stuff like that. I don't really know.
That's from him. But again, she did her best, but that he wouldn't do.
You shouldn't have said that to the kid.
Well, again, if the guy turned out to be a serial killer or something, and he got himself locked up or whatever, then fine. Because I don't believe there are two sides to every story. Some stories only have one side.
Yeah.
But in most situations where there's a breakup, you're putting two sinners together. So. But there can be very extreme circumstances. Let's say that the father was a physical danger, or a criminal ends up in jail, or whatever, or prison. Then I'm assuming, you can say something to that degree because it's so patently obvious. But if it's just a divorce for whatever other reason, unless there's extreme danger or criminality involved, I think that's a terrible thing to say. To make the mother the hero and the dad the ultimate villain, and then I'm coming in and replacing your villain of a dad. And I think that's terrible. However, I don't know the specifics of this situation. If the dad was a horrible serial killer and he died in a shootout with the police, then this is a very helpful thing to say. It's say, look, I'm going to come in and replace your dad or whatever. I make a point to say I am not a replacement to your dad. Because your dad can never be replaced. That's the person God chose to make your father, and if he wanted me to be your actual father, he would have done so that way.
I can say it quite so elegantly.
I go out of my way to say that to her because I definitely the stuff that went down or whatever. It definitely pushed my pacifism to the limit as far as you and him goes. But you've got to separate you and him versus you and her, because that's a completely different ball of wax, in my opinion. So.
Yeah, I can see what you're saying on that.
But again, I don't know the specific story here. I know what's going on, but I don't know the specific story. To me, the intentions are completely good here. He's going to take him in, all this. I was watching something. It was on the internet. Somebody was doing one of these thingies, and the mom or the wife, because they were getting remarried, the wife wanted the new husband to adopt the kids, and the new husband was like, no, I'm not going to do that.
I screenshot that. I was going to show it to you and got your take on it.
Because he's basically like, I'm not going to do that because then if we don't work out, I'm going to get stuck with child support payments.
Yeah.
And then people were saying, oh yeah. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, that's like as bad as a prenup to me.
I thought that was really horrible.
That's like
too.
really, really
Right
terrible.
there.
Like, yeah. My wife and I have been together 4 years. We have a child together. She has 2 from her last marriage. She asked me to adopt her 2 children, which if the kids are open for adoption, that means that dad is out of the picture.
Yeah, I guess.
Right? So, and he's like, no, I'm not going to do that.
I haven't given her an answer, but I'm more towards the nay side. If we split, I just want to move on and parent my child. I'd legally be responsible for the other 2, and I don't want that. Am I wrong for feeling this way?
You're absolutely wrong. Like, you're not just marrying her, you're committing to her and those 2 kids. But that already tells me that there's a toxic environment there. Because notice he says mine. And then he's got this dichotomy in his head between the other 2. And he's also got this in his head like, hey, if we split. So that's just, I feel bad for those kids. And I have no respect for that dude at all. Not even a little bit. I think that's terrible.
When I read that,
I feel bad for those kids.
I was like, yikes. Because I don't understand, like, okay, like as a woman, I can understand, like, the thought of, let's say, something happened to you and I had the responsibility of all the kids. That is a little bit overwhelming because that's a lot of children if there's like no means of taking care of them. But how could you just say, what would you do? You would just throw those kids to the state? Like, you don't love those kids? Like, they're not, you know what I mean? Like, I don't understand. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think that's absolutely horrible.
Yeah, but
if you're gonna marry the girl, then you've got to be completely all in. Like this guy.
How could you not want to care for those kids? Like, how could you just throw? What would he do? He just throw them? Let the state take them?
Yeah, he
obviously
obviously considers those kids as a necessary evil.
She should have asked that friggin' question before they got married.
Well, again, that question probably wasn't pertinent before they got married. Right? Because the dad was in the picture. The only way that he could adopt those kids, is if the dad is out of the picture or if something changed where the dad said, yeah, whatever. That means she's got sole custody of the kid. So there's a whole bunch of variables that would have happened before that happened. But you didn't ask me that question.
That's because I knew.
Well, she probably knew. And he's trying to remain anonymous about this stuff and ask this question.
Yeah.
What?
I just,
He probably said whatever she wanted to hear, and you know what happens when people want to hear stuff, they're going to hear it, and they're not going to hear other things. And if they want to see stuff, they're going to see it, and they're not going to see other things. I've seen that happen a bunch of times.
No, I agree with you. I definitely think that's true. I just
that guy's
think
a scumbag, though.
I think that there's, I could think of quite a few people that would think like that. I didn't have to worry about that with you because of how you are.
Well, guys like this guy is rare, right? So I think he was trying to help the kid and it got off to a little bumpy start or whatnot, but his heart, you could tell in this song, is absolutely in the right place. Whereas that guy, you know what place his heart is in. And I have no judgment. I have no judgments for the wife or the poor wife that he's attached himself to, because I'm sure he said all this stuff so that he could marry her. You think in those fairy tales or whatever with the wicked stepmother that sent the kids off to boarding school, you think she said, "Oh yeah, as soon as I move into the house, I'm gonna pressure you to send the kids away"? No. Of course not. She said, "Oh, I'm gonna love them like my own. I always wanted a big family." Blah 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 blah.
Well, I think. And quite possibly, maybe, you said that the dad's all of a sudden not in the picture anymore completely. But also the other thing is they might have not had any kids yet together.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know why that keeps failing.
Yeah. I mean,
you know what I mean?
Well, yeah. He said he's got another kid now.
We've seen situations where, they were making it work, but then all of a sudden when they had kids of their own, it was different.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. So I think some technical issues here about what I wouldn't have done, being that product of a divorce, and then blending families in divorce. I think you've got to be very, very intentional about how you speak and about the other one, the non-custodial parent or whatever. But I would much rather this guy than that guy. That guy is horrible in my, just absolutely terrible individual in my opinion.
I knew what you were gonna say about it, but I actually wanted to see your energy about it. That's why I screenshot it.
Yeah, it's if you're that way, don't marry her. Like, do not marry her. Like, if you're, and I, it's one of those things where, again, they're probably, because you know how custody battles are and all the rest of it and yada, yada, yada. So at the time, you're not thinking about that. And the other thing is, when you're in a custody battle with the other spouse, you really see the worst part of them. And then you've got this other partner, and then you end up hyperbolizing how good they are, because now you're comparing the new guy to the other guy at his worst. So that's another way where I'm like, she wouldn't ask that question. She would just assume that about him because he's so much better than him. And now all the smoke is cleared and whatever's changed, and now she's got sole custody. Now she wants him to adopt. Now he's like, whoa. Wait a second here. I've already accomplished what I need to accomplish. I don't need to give any more. And that's where he's at. And I think that's just horrible. It's a horrible situation.
When I want to look at how you are, I don't compare you. Like, I don't compare you by saying how you are with me. I look at how you are with your ex-wife. That's where I get my answers from.
What do you mean?
So I don't say, oh, well, he's my knight in shining armor because he's done this, this, and this for me. And he's so much better than the other guy because of that. I look at the situation and I look at how you are with your ex-wife and how you work with her and the way that you that to me is more like, oh, okay, that's who he is, that's how he is. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but what does that have to do with?
Well, you were saying she's comparing the old guy with the new guy, and he comes out looking so much better, so it's easy to get confused.
I'm saying when you're at war, especially in a custody battle, you're seeing the worst of your spouse, and then you have this guy who's on your side and yada yada yada. So what I'm saying is you're going to assume the best about that guy because you're dealing with the worst of the other guy, and this is a guy that's there for you. So what I'm saying is
I saw him at his worst, and I've seen you at your worst.
You've never seen me at my worst. You haven't seen me close to at my worst.
What are you talking about? I'm talking about when you were going through your divorce and the different things that were going on.
That wasn't close to my worst.
You would treat that situation. There's a way you could treat that situation worse.
Well, again, you haven't come close to seeing me at my worst. You just haven't. Just take my word for it. But what I'm saying is, I understand why this woman did not. There's so many factors as to why this lady didn't.
No.
Didn't get that question answered at the beginning.
Oh yeah.
There's lots of reasons, and I just think I just think the guy is yeah, that guy is terrible. This guy, not perfect, but he's definitely got the heart exactly where it needs to be. And that's the thing, is the most you can do is promise the kid you're gonna love him and you're gonna do your best for him. I tend to I try to under-promise and over-deliver. That that's generally my thingamajig. So I didn't have a lot of like flowery words for sale or whatever. I just tried to show by action and just leave it at that. Very important song. 9 straight solid 9 for me.
8.8 for me.
Excellent. There you are, ladies and gentlemen. Moral of the story is do your best to work it out. And I guess there need to be some conversations before you tie the knot again. Vin out.
Sori out.
Gone.
You know what I am? I'm your worst nightmare, bro. This ain't the one you want to talk to, bro. It ain't no black lives matter. We ain't none of that bullshit.
Go.